Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. This is the first album review of 2020, and yes, that is a brand new neon sign behind me. Thank you so much to Hannah for buying that for me because it's awesome. Finally, a real life neon sign. I've had the logo for years, so yeah. And our first review back for 2020 is the new Poppy record, her third studio album, definitely more of a pop meets metal adventure. I disagree. Poppy, Poppy, Poppy. What a whirlwind of a past few years it's been for the fans, which in turn means I can't even begin to comprehend what it was like behind the scenes. To keep it rather brief for those who aren't aware, Poppy is a persona, a robot, your best friend perhaps, and it's been a working art installation, if you will, that slowly evolved into more of a human form over the past 5 or so years. The latest revelation, of course, is that Poppy has split from her former creative partner, a major director, a major co-writer in her life, Titanic Sinclair, aka real-life name Corey Mixter. That ship has now sunk, and even though his creative touches are unfortunately felt all over this record, it looks like this will be the last time that rat rears his head in the world of Poppy. Keeping this about the music though, I was stoked for some heavier adventures after loving both X and Play Destroy from Am I a Girl, plus Scary Mask from the Choke EP. My god, that was one of my favorite songs of 2019, hands down. Then all hell broke loose when Concrete came skyrocketing out with its odd balance of dark, heavy sounds, screams, and hellish lyrics with bright, cutesy pop sections that just kind of make your head spin. It's fantastic, as was the follow-up single, the title track, I Disagree, which has one of the best hooks, honestly, that I've heard in the past few years. I guess my one real fear going into this is that she'd keep playing the same hand over and over, and that the wow factor would just go down and down and down if we knew the heavy twist ending was coming. Did she successfully avoid these tropes and make the album that every metal and pop fan has wet dreams about? Now, that, my friend, is a loaded question, and you'll see why. I Disagree is an album oozing with potential. It's entirely co-produced by Chris Griotti and Zach Cervini, giving it a nice cohesive feeling most of its runtime despite the harsh changes in tone. It's lathered up with metallic guitars, pop posh, and plenty of catchy choruses that drill themselves into your brain, so it's not hard to see why, at least not at surface level, why this album could be such a winner for a lot of fans of varying genres. With all of those things being true, why don't I have more of a concrete takeaway when listening? I mean, there's an adrenaline rush delivered by a decent handful of songs, so I should be up on the mountaintops headbanging my heart out, but instead, it feels like we're rushing up to see the peak for just a moment, only to walk right back down into the fog. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's kind of inconsistent. To be honest, this is still a really solid album to kick off the year. I just think maybe the singles set the expectation bar a little bit too unrealistically high for what this album would actually be. Poppy never fully promised a metal album, nor did she ever really call it metal. She mentioned some post-genre thing that I don't entirely think is accurate, but I digress. Essentially, I wasn't one of the fans that felt like she'd entirely abandoned pop because pop was written all over the singles and the hooks. I guess I just didn't see there being a collection of filler moments on such a short 35-minute long LP. Her backing band is nothing short of incredible when they're being utilized for a full-on menacing attack during some of the more heated moments, but there's of course the down-to-earth, in the feels if you will, reflections that too heavily lean on the synth and the programmed percussion and give us much more varied results. I don't want to imply that this album only works when Poppy feels borderline volcanic with rage or when the screams are wailing against a wall of thrashing guitars, but those just so happen to position themselves as some of the more unique offerings. There's some really interesting visualizations your mind floats to while this album is spinning, that's for sure. Warbled industrial sounds give way to piercing guitar solos, which in turn spin off to electronic explorations that have a heavy emphasis on Poppy's voice. And through it all, she's kind of serving as a trip guide, if you will. The angry but level-headed figure in charge of keeping us from flying too far off the rails. The only problem is that maybe I wanted a little bit more Crazy Train and a little bit less The Little Engine That Could. Poppy went all in with a genuine love of heavier music. That's abundantly clear on I Disagree. I'm really not trying to bring up the argument that this record could have been better if she had just fully committed, because that's really not the problem at all. There's really not even an overarching issue other than the simple fact that some of these tunes should throat punch me a lot harder than they actually do. Poppy's first proper album, Poppy.Computer, benefited from Poppy's persona dealing out heavy doses of sarcasm and commentary under the guise of electropop bangers as sung by a robot. Since she's evolved her character to become a bit more human, I feel that the musical ideas have definitely improved tenfold, as have her collaborative choices. But the lyrics feel underwhelming and even, dare I say, empty at this point in her space-time continuum. Just so no one gets the wrong ideas about my feelings overall, let's start by tackling some of the magic that makes the highs of this album so damn high. Bloodmoney scared the shit out of me at first, so be prepared for an all-out industrial assault that sounds like a Star Wars battle fighting Trent Reznor in a boxing ring in outer space. Anything like me throws the whole bite your tongue notion out of a speeding car for a chance to road rage out on someone, and I don't want to exactly speculate on who, but someone from her past put her in a bad mental state for far too long, and fresh from the oven comes this flamethrower. I love a lot of the genre blurring that happens on Sit, Stay, and Bite Your Teeth, but before I can even say anything about either song, what the hell was that abrupt ending on Sit, Stay? It feels like it's building up in a perfect way to give way to drop right into Teeth, but it just kind of cuts out and leaves this awkward gap between the two. Okay, bye then, I guess. Anyways, both of these are actually really strong moments on the LP, with Sit Stay playing this scary game of cat and mouse over a 9-inch nails as hell sounding instrumental spiral. Danger feels like it's lurking at every corner with that sprinting bass and those power-drilled electronic sections, including those hypnotizing sounds that open up the track. Bite Your Teeth gaslights the tormentor by shoving a dose of their own medicine down the old throat hole before quite literally kicking the door down with some of the most punishing brutal guitars you'll hear on the entire record.
Someone say brutal, bitch?
Oh my god, every single time without fail, isn't it? Every time I say the word brutal, I meant heavy. They're heavy. You don't have to come running every time I say the word brutal.
Man, that's like my Batman symbol in the sky. You say brutal, and I come moshing my way here faster than you can say five-finger death punch.
Ignore him. He's just pissed I didn't buy him tickets to Poppy's upcoming tour because I didn't want to be seen with him. Yeah, that's right. Keep on walking away. But hey, Bite Your Teeth is killer though. They managed to make that one part sound like some sort of twisted kids cartoon, and I for one am here for it. On the negative side of the hill, which unfortunately does exist, there's some empty voids that do feel a bit out of place, but they're not even necessarily bad. I actually really like Nothing I Need. It's kind of an effective interlude fork in the road type track that sees Poppy looking in the mirror and seeing where she stacks up against the competition. It's more so the slow side of tracks like Sit Stay, the lack of inertia carried by Sick of the Sun, and even the lack of originality that's way too apparent on Fill the Crown. If I wanted to hear Trent Reznor and Marilyn Manson, I'd probably just go listen to them rather than just saying, oh cool, it kind of sounds like Trent Reznor musically with Marilyn Manson on backing vocals. Gotta go to bat for the first two singles again though, because they're genuinely gripping, unexpected, and terrifically fierce. The nihilistic Daydream Concrete splits time between its tantalizing riffage and also its surprisingly pop-friendly catchiness, which helps sell the idea of life being an up-and-down battle mentally. I Disagree was equally unforgettable, if not even better, because of how stern Poppy is, refusing to back down to the label execs, a move that I'm sure was very empowering for her as she left Diplo's Mad Decent label and sailed away with Sumerian, and also, at the end of 2019, left Titanic to be by himself. The chorus is stacked perfectly with every catchy brick in its right place before she pulls the last little brick that's holding everything together out and lets it all burn down. I Disagree gives the listener a lot of reasons to, at the very least, to get excited about Poppy's new frontier she's boldly diving into, while at the same time keeping everyone ever so slightly suspended in places since the album does tend to run itself into the ground creatively from time to time. Do yourself a favor and settle in for at least a couple of listens, because I do think it's worth at least a little bit of your time, and if not, I mean, it's certainly worth the price of admission. Just stream it, sit down, it's gonna be at least a little bit entertaining for you, and that finale was pretty cool too. It was nice to see that she worked in a reprise of the entire record. Her third full-length album, I Disagree, gets a 3.5 from me, and you can feel free to disagree politely in the comments section down below. I'm actually genuinely really curious to see what everyone else is thinking, since this has been one of my goals for 2020, to kind of avoid reviews as much as possible until I've finalized my own point of view on the record. So now I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for stopping by, neighbor. I call my viewers neighbors because we're all a community of music fans here, and if you want to join the neighborhood, then just subscribe to my channel and stay active in the comments. Catch up on another Poppy review by tapping here, or see another recent video you may have missed on the channel by tapping here. Cheers to another year of music being underway, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.